What's up, everybody? This is Sam from Sword Style Guitar, bringing to you today a lesson on auditions. I like to share a bit of my experience about doing auditions in New York City and other highly competitive environments. If you're a guitar player, chances are when you go out to an audition that you replied to off Craigslist, there is going to be a ton of other people going out for the same audition as you. Unless you have exemplary connections or get the gig through who you know instead of your skills, chances are it's going to be a pretty competitive race, which may or may not reflect exactly your playing or your style or anything for that matter. It may just come down to politics and a numbers game. So my advice to you is one of three things. The first thing is, one, if you don't get the gig, don't be discouraged. Realize that it's a numbers game primarily, and with each audition you learn more about music and they're good to go on. The second subtopic is make sure you clarify exactly what the structure of the audition will be, and I'll go into depth about that in a second. And the third thing is, man, it's a little bit late, I forgot. The third thing is clarify the status of the band and what exactly the position entails. So very briefly, I'm going to try and keep this under 10 minutes. The thing with the auditions, especially through Craigslist or a blind audition, is that you're going to want to speak to the band leader in depth, and you're going to want to talk about three things with him, or two things rather. You're going to want to ask him exactly what he wants from you for the audition, so there's no confusion whatsoever. You want to be sure that he'll most likely tell you to learn songs off of a CD or an album, or he'll tell you, it's an open format, just come, bring your skills, and we'll take it from there. You should clarify who you'll be playing with. I've gone to some auditions that have been with certain bands that have been a little bit less organized than others, and so what happened was I wound up playing with I wound up playing with other people who were auditioning, not even the band, or it was just some haphazard thing. It really was a little too crazy for my liking, and I actually wound up, they called me back for the gig, but I wound up not taking it because she was so disorganized that I felt that it left a bad impression on me. So always clarify who you'll be playing with, what you'll need to learn, and what part you'll need to play in the mix of things. And speak to the band leader. Ask questions. That's very, very key. The second thing that you're going to want to ask is, what exactly is the gig entail? What does it entail? Is it a touring band? Do they want a hired gun for a few shows? Do you need to bring your own gear? Do they want somebody to contribute to the studio time? So you're gonna have to pay for studio time for their album. You need to ask these particular things. So find out if you need to bring your own gear. Find out if it's a paid gig, if it's an unpaid gig, how many gigs you'll be doing with them, etc., etc. This prevents you from wasting your time and theirs, and just ask questions, and those questions are all important. Also, finally, another thing about this is that it is ultimately a numbers game. If you are skilled, great, but nobody can be skilled in every single genre. I've tried out for bands all the way from Afro funk to jazz ensemble, this and that. Sorry, I thought I saw somebody I knew. Jazz ensemble all the way to metal bands. So the point is, no one guitar player can fit the entire spectrum of skill sets. So you going out for these auditions ultimately is a numbers game, and you're gonna find something that fits you, that you like, and they like you. And when you get that, that's something, go and explore it. But ultimately, you want to go on these auditions because you learn. You learn from the experience of being under pressure. You make good networking, you know, you network, you have these band leaders' numbers, and ultimately you get a chance to see what it's like to play under high pressure. You know, the entire band will be watching you, and you ultimately don't know whether or not you'll get the gig. So it's a great experience. I think everybody should go out on a lot of auditions, but these tips will help you navigate a bit better. Also, a quick tip about all these things is if you are planning on you know, getting a gig and getting, you know, back into the swing of things or getting into your first band, you may want to have a couple of sound clips readily available so that you'll get more responses. So maybe make a YouTube page of your playing or a SoundCloud. So those are my tips for an audition in New York City. Thanks, guys.